Activism against gender-based violence, GBV, is crucial in Nigeria, where cultural, social and economic factors perpetuate violence against millions of women and girls. This year's theme, Unite to End Violence, a call to action, emphasizes the importance of collective action in preventing and responding to GBV. This theme encourages individuals, organizations and governments to unite in their efforts to end gender-based violence and promote a culture of respect, equality and justice. Now, despite progress made, activism against GBV in Nigeria faces numerous challenges. These include a pervasive culture of patriarchy and misogyny, inadequate laws and policies, limited access to justice, healthcare and social services, stigma and blame shifting against survivors, as well as limited funding and resources. To overcome these, experts say it is essential to strengthen laws and policies, promote education and awareness, as well as collaborations among individuals, organizations and governments to support survivors in order to create a Nigeria where women and girls are free from violence and can live their lives with dignity and respect. The focus on the program today is activism against gender-based violence. You're welcome to Nigeria Today. I am Dennis Adigunloye. Now joining us for this discussion, we have in the studio Dr. Rekia Momo Abaji, a retired civil servant. You're very welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you very much, Dennis. Thank you.
All right, and that's also joining us via Zoom, one of our regulars, is Mao Benzis Leo, a gender and development expert. You're also very welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you, Dennis. It's a pleasure being here.
Yes, you're welcome. All right, so we'll begin with you, as Mao Benzis Leo. Just tell us more about gender-based violence and the essence of the week-long activities on this issue.
Okay, thank you very much. For everyone, especially at this point in time, it is no longer news that around the world women suffer gender-based violence. And this gender-based violence means any form of violence that is perpetrated against an individual based on their gender specifically. And we look at the issue of gender-based violence in relation to violence against women and girls, because women and girls suffer disproportionately when it comes to the issue of violence within the community, especially in our homes where it is not always open, that is in the domestic space. Women suffer a lot of violence. Sometimes it leads to, death. Sometimes it leads to economic deprivation. Sometimes it leads to all forms of issues, even health complications that women suffer. So the significance of these 16 days of activism is a global campaign which has been introduced by the United Nations so many years ago as a global campaign which is used to raise awareness and drive action in order to end violence against women. And it is always observed annually from the 25th of November down to the 10th of December. And why this is significant is because the 25th of November starts the day which we call the 16 days of activism. Then we come to the 1st of December, which is International AIDS Day, to the 3rd of December, which is International Day for Persons with Disabilities, then down to the 10th of December that concludes the 16th day of activism, which is the Human Rights Day. So this campaign emphasizes violence against women and the violation of the rights of women, especially the fundamental rights of women, which is critical barrier to gender equality, development and peace anywhere in the world.
All right, many thanks for that your opening remarks there. Let's bring in our guest in the studio, Rekia Momo Abaji, retired civil servant. Obviously, we're having 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. What, in your view, do you think governments and society role can play in terms of addressing the critical factors militating against the successful curbing of gender-based violence in Nigeria?
Thank you, Dennis. I think the last time I was here, I was with Asmao as well. So, hi, Asmao. The society can do a lot, and it can actually begin from the family units. It is necessary that families can tackle the root causes of gender violence situations. Society over time has, sometimes people are in denial about gender violence, but it does exist psychologically, physically, and it didn't have to be physical before you would think that a woman is violated. I say a woman because most times the violence is against women in most societies. What we can do is to address the root causes of gender violence, is also to discourage it. And I pick on the family unit, because that is where life begins from. That is where mothers will teach their sons that violence against anybody at that is not the best to happen. And right from the 70s, 79, 80, laws have been put in place by nations, you know, to see how this can be addressed. And it's been going on, and it has to continue. And I think that the more that is being talked about, you know, the more the deterring factors show up. The more people know that this is not something we should be associated with. It's not something that we should perpetrate. And so the discussion goes on.
All right, you talk about the family being critical in, you know, imbibing positive attitudes and outlooks, yes, especially on the male child, yeah, on how they should treat.
They are the ones who grow women into society, become men, husbands, yeah, and even come into politics. They are the ones who are mostly in the political positions, yeah, who have to vie with women in positions.
Sure. How do you think education and awareness programs can be effectively utilized to bring upon a change of attitudes in this regard, apart from the family setting?
What is happening now, even the 16-day activism is about sensitizing the people against situations like this. And families having to deal with it, talking to people, talking about the subject of gender violence, you know, begin to shame that kind of activity that is against a particular group in society.
All right. Let me bring back in our Zoom guest, Asmao Benzies Leo. In my opening, I talked about certain factors such as misogyny, a patriarchal mindsets in the Nigerian culture. How, in your view, can these entrenched attitudes be chipped away at so we can have a better view of women, shall we say, going forward as we, you know, progress with these activisms against gender-based violence?
Oh, thank you very much. I think one of the key driving or the push factor concerning gender-based violence is our cultural norms and values. And this starts from the community level, whereby boys and men are seen as more superior than women. And most of the times when growing up, you discover that there is this aspect of male preference, and then the privileges that boys enjoy against the girls. And it starts at that level, that even when in the choices as we grow older in life, girls are not allowed to make decisions concerning their lives. When they want, where they want to go to school, the kind of man they want to marry, the choices in their careers, women do not really have a voice in the African society. So that also strengthens the aspect of male dominance in this community. And where there is male dominance in the community, it also affects the overall structure of the society, because some are seen as inferior against others, and therefore there is no fairness, there's no justice, there's no equity, talk more of equality. So what needs to be done is equally to push for laws and policies that protect women, and also ensure that perpetrators of violence against women, which mostly are men and boys, are accountable. They have to be accountable to their actions. For instance, in many communities, you will find out that when women are violated, sometimes they will just tell you, even the security agencies will tell you that this is a family issue. You don't have to bring it to the law enforcement. Go back home, use alternative dispute resolution mechanisms, or what we call out-of-court settlement, to settle such issues. And you know what that does? It continues. It makes it more endemic that such cases will not be solved in the community. For instance, if there's a rape case and a perpetrator, violates or rape a girl in community A, and that perpetrator is not being punished, for sure you will know that he will go to community B, community C, and that's how it continues. So, and again, we also need to bring men and boys to be allies in this fight. Women cannot fight for the emancipation and then the elimination of just violence against women. Men have to be involved. We have to challenge toxic masculinity, and other patriarchal norms have to be challenged. If not, we cannot have these success stories that we will have a free and a fair society to live in, where our women and girls can live freely from fear of violence and intimidation. Then we also need to support grassroots movement like local communities. There are a lot of community-based organizations, faith-based organizations that always work to amplify voices of survivors. So do we need to support such movement, such organizations, so that they can work within the community, conscientizing, creating awareness, so that the community members will know that violence against women is unacceptable and is punishable under the law. Nigeria has so many laws that are supporting this, especially the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. It is there. And many perpetrators don't know that when you commit certain acts, it is punishable by law. So you see them going about, violating the rights of persons. And again, I think we cannot underemphasize the role of education in our communities. Girls have to be sent to school because that's the foundation of awareness and the foundation of empowerment. When our girls are well educated, they are empowered, they can stand for their rights, they can make decisions concerning their life, they can become good mothers and become contributors to the national development. Thank you.
All right, there's many very good points you've made there. Let's just take a quick pause for a break at this present time and get some comments from other Nigerians on this issue. Stay with us.
So that's why we're here. Today marks the beginning of the 16 days activism on gender and sexual-based violence. And, we continue to amplify the light. We do a lot of advocacy to make sure that this continues to be put to on the front burner. And, that's why we're here to speak on this matter, to continue to raise awareness, like I said. And we also have a conference coming up on the 5th of December to continue these conversations. We have a lot of students that we work with, and you may not know the mechanisms in the states. Most of the states have the sexual and gender-based violence committees, usually headed by the First Lady of the state. It encompasses all the various ministries, bodies, CSOs, even the traditional rulers.
To start with, the House of Representatives has the 10th Assembly House of Representatives under the leadership of Right Honorable Abbas Tajudeen has a legislative agenda, and this is one of the key issues, the issues of gender justice. It's in our legislative agenda, and in line with that, you'll find that we had a very speedy consideration and passage of a bill for the prohibition, prevention, and redressal of sexual harassment in tertiary institutions.
Okay, you're welcome back to the studio. Some Nigerians there giving their take on this issue of gender-based violence. And coming back to our studio guest, Rukia Moma Abaji. Before the short break, as Ma was talking about, let's say a vicious cycle where victims of gender-based violence, for whatever reason, whether it's familial or societal, don't pursue the justice that they should pursue and rightly deserve. What, in your view, can be done to check this trend and give victims of gender-based violence more confidence to speak out and possibly get justice?
Yeah, thank you so much. I want to think that in the world, there are laws and rules that have been put down to forestall this kind of situation. But it is obvious that we do not necessarily obey laws. We do not necessarily go around the policies that we have put on ground. So what I think should happen is what we are doing, talking about it, and also that families should imbibe the sensitization and be able to work on it from that level, and so goes into the community, into the society. Our societies have always played down on this situation, like the example she was giving. If a couple, for instance, went to the police station to discuss violence, or maybe the wife runs to the police station, they usually would try to persuade her to go home and sort this thing out. And in issues of rape, you know, somebody who has been violated already, you come to the police station, there's a way they tell you to prove that this has actually happened, which further humiliates the person who is already a victim. So families should take it up. Government should set, you know, there's nothing that catches fire like policies, government policies, because once the policy is penned down, the assumption is that people will try to abide by it. So governments should do definite things that will be preventive in this situation. You know, she was, I think she mentioned about, okay, she's talked about policies and the laws and the fact that the laws are not obeyed. We should do definite things to make sure that when we have policies or have laws in place, that they are obeyed. Definitely. And from the sensitization and the discussion as it goes on, people are also getting aware, they are getting sensitized that this is not a thing to continue in the society. You know, if you have a relation that is violated, there's no way you'll be happy about it. And if you have your chance, you will want to work towards ensuring that this doesn't happen in society. So the more we get aware of it, the more men and women sit together to discuss the root causes of situations like this, the happier we'll be in society.
We certainly hope so. All right, let me bring back Asmau into the conversation. Rakia made a point that stuck with me just then, talking about when a rape victim goes to the station to report being raped, the police will try to, let's say, put the burden of proof on the victim as opposed to the perpetrator. What, in your view, can be done to change the mindset of authorities, the police and such in this regard?
Okay, thank you very much. I think there is need for a thorough security sector reform. It's very, very critical and it's very important, because what we have on ground right now is not really working, especially in terms of the prevention and the response to gender-based violence or violence against women. A lot of times you will see that when cases of gender-based violence, even as simple as domestic violence, happens, the law enforcement does not see it as a violation of human rights. Every individual has what we call the fundamental human right, and this fundamental human right are justiciable in the sense that you can sue someone and the person can be convicted if found guilty of such offenses. But because the security agencies sometimes make light of such situations, and therefore the families of the victims, because they do not want their child or their ward to be stigmatized, mostly they are forced to withdraw the cases, because there's always this victim blaming. When you check to the security agencies, what they do is they blame the victim instead of the perpetrator. First, they might even start asking, what were you wearing at the time when this thing happened? Who told you to come out at this time of the night? You know, they start asking so many questions as if it is the fault of the victim or the survivor to be raped or to be violated. So unless we inject professionalism into our security sector to understand the need for this kind of law enforcement, they need to enforce such laws. The laws are not lacking, the laws are there. But how do we enforce such laws so that perpetrators don't go freely around the street or in our communities? making life so unbearable for our next generation, or even the women and the girls that Nigeria has today. We also have to understand the implications, the health implication, the psychosocial implication, the societal implication of violence against women. So many things happen. Do you understand that in certain countries, they did a research on the implication of gender-based violence on women, and the GDP, they lost more than $200 million GDP due to the prevalence of gender-based violence in the community. So you can imagine if such research can be conducted in Nigeria, many women, you would discover that it is affecting our GDP, affecting our economy, affecting our livelihood, affecting the very fabric that holds the society itself together. So there is need for our security agencies to be cautious, to be proactive, to be on their feet, to discover that violence against women is prevalent, is a crime against humanity, and something that should be taken as a matter of urgency and as a matter of seriousness. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, thank you, Asmao, for those remarks and that assessment of the situation as it is with the security agencies currently. All right, let me give the last word briefly.
If you allow me,
Yep.
Another way to curb the violence against women is for the victims to speak out.
All right.
What is prevalent in society is that most victims don't speak out. You see a colleague at work who is wearing shades with a black eye. What happened? Oh, I fell. This. Tomorrow she fell. She's not speaking up what her real issues are.
What is actually
and
happening.
most times they wait till it is too long, it becomes dangerous before these women speak up. So if they speak up quickly, it can be addressed in various ways. Even religious organizations,
absolutely,
elders in the families can handle this.
We certainly hope for more progress going forward on this very important issue. All right, Rekia Momo Abaji, retired civil servant, many thanks for your perspectives on this important topic. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you, Nigerians, for listening. And we hope that everyone will take up this issue and fight against it so that it doesn't continue to be part of our society.
Absolutely. And thanks once again to Asmao Benzis Leo, our Zoom guest. Thank you also for your perspectives. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Steve.
And to you, thanks for watching, and we appreciate always being there with us on the program. And do remember that Nigeria Today airs live every weekday on NTA News 24 at 7:30 in the evening. You can also watch this and other episodes on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. There'll also be a repeat at 10 p.m. I am Dennis Adegunloye. Have a great evening.